finally got the Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints, and I've been wanting these for such a long time. I can't tell you how long I've wanted to try these, and I finally have them, and I'm going to test them out in this video. I've got the 12 sets of Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints. I went for this set because I quite liked the colours within this one. They're quite light and pastel almost. So you get 12 colours within this set. The pans are a lot larger than a normal half pan that I'm used to. However, they don't seem to be as deeply filled as other pans. So we'll see how they fare. Also, they look sort of slightly more plasticky. And by that I mean the surface of the paint is quite shiny and it's got an odd texture to me at this point. So first colour is this cherry blossom pink, which is really pretty, and then this lilac, which is very light. You can barely see it actually once it's swatched, so I think you're going to have to build this colour up quite a lot. Next is the horizon blue, which is honestly such a pretty blue. It's really pretty. I think it would be brilliant for if you're wanting to get that sort of Studio Ghibli sky. And then we have this cobalt blue. And then honestly, this lime green is so bright. It actually hurt my eyes a little bit looking at it. It was that bright. You can't see it that well on camera, but it is really bright. And then we've got this greenish yellow, which isn't as bright. And the natural beige, which is also a very light colour like that lilac. And then we've got this rose beige. Now this one actually separated a little bit in the pan, and I can see sort of specks of sort of a pink tone through it, and it did separate a little bit on the pan. And then we have the Indian red and a maroon. At the bottom we've got two sort of darker colours. We've got a grey and then we've got a blue-grey deep, which actually is so pretty. I really do love these dark colours. Okay, so I'm going to swatch it, but I thought I would try and make my swatch look a little bit more fun in my sketchbook rather than just swatching along the top of the sketchbook or having boxes of the swatches. So I thought I would swatch them in this way here, and I'm allowing some of the colours to bleed together as well just to see how they react, because I want to see how the colours work together. And I'm going to do this initial swatch, and then I'm actually going to layer up on top with the same colour to see the difference between a slightly watered down version and then also a darker version of this paint. So a lot more pigment on my paintbrush this time around as I'm adding the details onto each of the swatches. Now if you're interested in checking out these paints yourself, I do have a link in my description box for them, and if you're a new customer to Jackson's, you will get 10% off of your first order if you follow my affiliate link. Let me know if you like this style of swatching or if you prefer just swatches in blocks. I'm going to test these paints out on a larger painting now, and I decided to go for a page of macarons because I think the colours lend themselves really well to this, and I just wanted to go for more of a sketchy style with my painting rather than anything too like formal. I wanted it to be quite loose and just have a little bit of fun with these paints. When I first bought them and I showed you on my Jackson's haul video, some of you suggested that I buy some rice paper, so that's definitely on my list to try these paints out with some of the rice paper. However, for now I'm just using my Stillman and Burnt sketchbook, and they seem to be holding up quite well within this sketchbook. It's a multimedia one and the paper is 270 GSM, and the paint seems to be going on here quite nicely. One of the things that I wanted to test out with these paints is to see how well other colours layer on top of one another, so I'm going to see how this works in the painting. I also wanted to see how well these colours would mix, and I'm mixing them in the little plastic tray that you get with the paints. So overall I found that they mixed okay within the palette, but then I did see a little bit of separation when it actually started to dry on my page. So I did have to keep adding additional layers to my paints to try and rectify some of the mistakes that I was kind of creating with my painting. Now I've heard that these paints do take a little while to get used to if you're used to a Western style watercolour paint. And I must admit there were times where I felt slightly frustrated with these paints, and I felt like I just kept making a lot of mistakes within my painting. And I think it's really important sometimes just to remember that when you're trying out new materials and new paints, not everything is going to look absolutely perfect. So I know that this painting is not going to turn out the way that I intended it to, and it's not going to turn out as one of my best ever paintings, and I think that's absolutely part of the process. Anyway, whilst I was using some of the lighter colours like the natural beige as highlights, I found that as they dried, they kind of drew in a little bit of the colour underneath and they just went a little bit muddy. So I had to kind of rethink how I was going to achieve highlights back into my painting. And I also used this blue-grey deep as my background because I thought that would be an absolutely lovely colour to ground those macarons and look like they're actually sitting on a surface rather than just floating on the page. I'm definitely going to be trying these paints out a lot further over the next few weeks, and I'm going to try them out on a few different types of paper to see which one works best for me. But I quite like this sketchy style of painting, and I think it gives me a good idea of what I can do in the future with these paints. Okay, so if you have enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.